What is it that makes us special as South Africa and the jazz that's found here?
Well, I think it's the complexities of our political situation, because a lot of it enunciates on the other side of protest for the most part. If you think about, for instance, all of those songs, all of those songs where this was at one point in the 70s regarded as the unofficial South African anthem.
Whoa.
Ubuntu is that invitation that stays open. It's not only a practice, but more an invitation. Well, there is a song about forgiveness, and I'll just play it and see how you feel. Fatherhood is a very complex subject. I mean, historically in black kind of families, we still have like displacement and disemplacement and the ways in which the black home was made dysfunctional by apartheid, which is not an excuse but a reality.
King David Studio podcast.
It's not often you get a superstar like Dr. Nduduzo Makhathini availing himself not only for a podcast but also with a piano. And this for me I consider as, I don't know whether it's luck. Have been very good to me. My ancestors continue to bless me. I hope you're well.
I'm doing fine. So great to be here, Puti.
Yes. Yeah. I've noticed that you are a relatively accessible, great guy. and I say this deliberately because people whom we regard you so highly that we think we have to call 100 people to get you.
No.
And we realize that we make one call.
Just one call.
And you pick up.
Right, I'm going to be there.
Where do you get that character? What is that character? How do you describe it?
Right. Well, I guess it comes with the gift, it comes with upbringing, it comes with the ways we are socialized. I think just in terms of my upbringing, kind of coming from semi-rural spaces where these things really mattered, like, kwazi ukubingelela abantu abadala, ways of honoring communal efforts. I mean, being punished by strangers in the modern world, like umakhelwane kuthiwe ile ngane intshontsha amambenjisi lapha yashawa and stuff like that. So I think, I think sometimes we underestimate upbringing and what that does for our entire kind of way of looking, like as a lens into our lives. So I think I don't want to take any credit for this, more than to just acknowledge that I really come from like a solid community, a solid family, very strong morals and principles, and so in trying to make them proud, I try to keep some of these. But yeah, I mean, as far as the gift is concerned, it really requires, as a core principle, this humanness, this humility, and this posture of surrender and letting go. And I think there is a lot in there that us as artists could benefit from, just the space of letting go and knowing that it's okay to let go and it's okay to fail and to try it again. So I think it's stemming out of like a way of being in the world much broader. So I don't see myself as an artist in as much as someone having an experience in this body and this spirit, and being a musician, which people know about me, as an extension, as a way of saying, this is how I view the world. But the core foundation of it all is the being, it's these principles, it's the culture, it's the histories.
Yes. Ubani, when you look back at your life, who insisted on making sure that you grow up to be a good man?
Well, I think my mom will grab the credit any day.
Why not?
Yeah. My dad was there with me very briefly, and it really got complicated. But what I do remember, and maybe this is what led to me getting married to a singer, because I remember the first time I saw people kiss was my dad and my mom, and I was really, they thought I didn't see it. But my mom was cooking, and my dad started playing the guitar in a separate room, like in a living room, and my mom started singing to it, and my dad walked towards her, and I was just looking, and I was like, wow, I think that's kind of cool. And it became like this image of like, love is really the thing. And even though I couldn't see that for the most of, like I couldn't have a reference of really how to be a father. But I think those moments, the musicality of my dad, his humor, and the little kind of playing they would do at home, and laughing and giggling together. Man, I think I wanna, especially now that my dad is late, and when he came back, he wasn't well, when he came back to our family. And I constantly had this, what my little kids will call a beef with my dad, which I regretted when he passed. Oh, no. So I think now, in just like grappling with fatherhood myself, and like learning and rehearsing fatherhood, I want to give some credit to him too, even for his failures, to show me that, okay, well, if you go that direction, things can go wrong. But I think I can still be thankful for that. But his genetics as well, I think he was a lovely person.
Yeah. Hey everyone, here's a quick announcement before the big festive season truly kicks off this December. Our partners at Hollywood Bets are giving you 3 million reasons to play this month. It's time to join the Spina Zonke jackpot race. You can win your share of a massive 3 million rands prize pool this December. Here's the essential information. Prize pools for the daily race ranges up to 300,000 rands on selected race nights. The races happen every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday this month. Make sure you spin between 8:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. That's when the action really happens. Race happens every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday this month. Make sure you're spinning between 8:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. That's when the action really happens. To enter, all you need to do is bet 2 rands or more on any Spina Zonke game during that 2-hour window. You could be one of thousands of winners. So if you're ready to win, go ahead and click the link in the pinned comment below this video. This is your chance to win big this festive season. But as always, you have to be 18 years and older to play. Please make sure you bet responsibly. We almost forced to ask more about the dad. Because I remember I interviewed Wabu Badi Lohotla, statistician, essay, and he said the worst thing about South Africa is that most of our birth certificates do not have the father's name.
Right.
And that's the terrible reality of this country, and where it leads to horrible things.
It does.
Horrible things, whether that's crime or whether that's, socioeconomic nonsense, and you name it. It leads to all the worst possible realities of South Africa. Right. It forces me, and answer this if you want, what happened to your dad? What is the story?
Well, I don't think I really have the story, given the fact that I've always been on my mom's side. And I was sort of not interested on his take, given that like my mom had to do everything by herself eventually. And I think these are some of the things I regret too. I remember when I never really talk about this stuff, but when I bought my first car, I remember that my dad was actually a good driver. And I remember I had just gotten a job working at Central Johannesburg College, now living in Joburg, now, starting my life. And I drove, the day I got the car, it was a brand new car, drove off Bearsnodie all the way, N3. home. What? And enjoyed the drive. I was just thinking, wow, man, I wonder what this guy is going to say. So I get to him, and he was like, let's take a drive to my mom's. Because my mom had not seen the car, and they were not living together. My dad was living Nogogo. So he drove, man, my car, without telling you guys what car it was, drove like a Mercedes that particular moment. But, it's just like there's something about holding your father's hand. Yeah. And which takes me to a much more recent story. When we took our kids to boarding school, I think that might have been like 4 or 5 years ago. And so I have 2 boys and a daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter is the eldest, Tunaila, and there is Umoyo and Tingo. So Tingo, now he's like 17, Moyo is like 14.
Yeah.
So they were younger then. So I mean, first time boarding school, so Mbabambizandla, which I always do as a father.
Yeah.
And so we walk in, do all the registration, where they're gonna stay and everything. And now they were showing us around campus. And so Tingo says, Dad, I think I don't like you holding my hand anymore. This was painful.
How old was he then? Give or take.
Must have been like 11,
Yeah.
12-ish. I was like, oh, yeah, I think, he elaborated. I think it's kind of like embarrassing and stuff. So Moyo is on this side, Tingo is on the other side. So I was like, Moyo, do you feel the same? Should I let go? Moyo's like, no, I'm cool. You can hold my hand. I remember how that like disturbed me, like, and then I went to my mom's because they were going to a school in Pietermaritzburg. So my mom is there, and that was the whole intention. I wanted them
Close
to get
by.
a taste of where I grew up, to get a taste of the culture and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, not so much of it in the school, but just the environment. Yeah. So my mom says, when I tell her about the story, I was really sad, and I still had to drive to East London. We were staying in East London at the time. So very sad for such a long drive. So my mom was like, no, one day when he's really old, maybe he'll be like 30, 40, getting married, he would ask for this. So don't worry. So, I'm kind of like thinking about the absence of a father in my life, absence, presence, sort of like problem. And I'm thinking like, what is it that I can do to kind of, I mean, my younger brother, who is going to come here anytime, we always talk about this, that we're trying to correct this, but sometimes we overcompensating and we make a lot of mistakes.
Overcorrect.
Yeah, because now, and we realize sometimes we land at that very same place where our dad landed.
Ish.
So there's something about this, and I'm thankful that we discuss fatherhood. It's a very complex subject. I mean, historically in Black kind of families, we still have like displacement and disemplacement, and the ways in which the Black home was made dysfunctional by apartheid, which is not an excuse but a reality with migrant labor. Our fathers going to the mines and stuff. So, and then came this forced removals and all of these things. I mean, also we could think of like the Shembe movement in a kind of connected way, in a sense that it was a response to all the women that were left after the missionaries came and Christianity was a thing, and a lot of our fathers had to be born again. And in that, coming from a polygamist space, they had to leave some of the wives, who knows, maybe 5, and take one, because and then just think about what happens in that moment.
Dynamics.
So I think in consolidating Black fatherhood, and while struggling with toxic masculinity, I think it's so important that this becomes our point of departure. So thanks for asking these questions.
Yes, interesting you say it. I think it's a story that's not explored deep enough. I think we still have a deliberate fear.
Yes, Sabi is because of his layeredness. Also, another thing about us as men, it's just like we don't want to feel vulnerable. And I guess it's the art form and the practice of being a healer. For me, I kind of like want to open up that side a bit more. Sometimes it's hurtful because it gets exposed.
Sure.
But I guess like part of being a medium means that you have to carry less, like you constantly have to offload.
Yeah, it's a complicated subject. What kind of father are you?
Well, man, I don't know. I think my kids like my vibe. In fact, I don't really know.
I like to use the word vibe.
Because that's the word at home. Like if I can show you text from my daughter, she will be like, hey, big bro.
What?
My sons will be like, yo, boss, how you doing? Like, so there is like this register that like it's not a traditional, I'm not a traditional father for sure. I'm an artist, I'm all about expression. I love reading, I love to share ideas, I love freedom, I'm attracted to freedom. And I have a very like femme, kind of strong character wife. So she really plays that role.
There's a balance.
Yeah. She does that, and I'm kind of like, so I recall this one interview that she was doing. She's an incredible singer, by the way, featured on Omagugu, featured on most of my work.
Yeah.
I remember her doing an interview at the Birth Center for TV after a concert. And they asking her, so we see your husband is all over performing and everything, and you just give us one album and you're quiet, and what's happening? You're not touring that much. And she responded, and I was with my mom. My mom-in-law was still alive as well. So we were all just there. And I heard her say, the most difficult thing is, I've taken all this time, and it's not easy really to bring up a husband, to raise, that's the word she used, to raise kids and a husband.
In
one sentence I'm there. But, that just goes to show in terms of like me really having to share, the fact that like I'm not doing this by myself. And in fact, I think I do very little compared to what she does.
Yeah.
Even for my music, the second last album I released, In the Spirit of Ndu, the most played song is her song. And she always says that, like, on your album, the most played song, so the money you make is through. So she doesn't only show up for the family, but shows up for something I love dearly, for the sonic.
Yes.
So I think that's just like, I find it to be a very unique thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some examples of it. Mamleta Mbulu, Babu Kefa Simeya. It's like, that's like a classic.
There's almost more music this side than there is this side.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like a classic example. I mean, back then we had Mam Setia Pierre Benjamin and Babu Abdullah Ibrahim, Dollar Brand at the time.
Singa mo, she's kulmango Yoko Ono. Marasiya ginjalo. Yoko Ono no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
I see.
My sounds.
No, I get it.
Do you know the song I play the most of yours?
Right.
Is King Fella.
Right.
I played a lot because for me it has a chant that the tempo is the type of tempo that I enjoy.
Right.
Yes, and it almost could be a house song.
Right.
Because of the bounds in it.
Right. And almost prophetic because it landed there.
Yes. I think there is a remix of sorts. Yes.
Yeah. So the song came through an experience. I was in Lagos for the first time, and just kind of the energy of the people, and given like black biographies are not easy biographies to deal with. There's a lot of pain in the body and the biographies of this black body.
Yes.
And Fanon will say we come from being non-beings or subhumans. I mean, these are catastrophic histories. But, when I was thinking of like Ubabukudi and the shrine and what he was able to do for the culture and the history. And I remember reading one of his books, a book about him at least, where it says he was playing and then these cops walked in and they jacked him, but the band kept playing. And one of the commanders made a scream and he was like, arrest the music.
Wow.
And that became the title of the book. But for me, that got me thinking, what does it mean to arrest the music? Because the music in itself is doing this protest. The music in itself speaks beyond this body that is kind of suppressed.
That's true.
It speaks beyond the silencing of a people. It advocates for the politics of a given people. So King Fella was looking into that complexity on the one hand of not being able to speak, but the music doing it anyway.
Yes.
But what does it mean when the sounds themselves get arrested? I was like, whoa. Then I wrote this piece. It's in Afrobeat. And of course when Umapumulo Nati, Black Coffee, heard the piece, was like, man, this sounds like a dance song.
See, exactly my reaction when I first heard it.
Yeah, and so we started working on it a little bit, and he was like, man, it's shaping up. And then the next thing, he sent it to Nico Da Capo.
Yeah.
And Da Capo, of course.
And it's another flavor.
Yeah. And the next thing I get it from Black Coffee is like, man, do you want to give this song to Da Capo? Because I think like he will sit very well on his album. Yeah. And so Black Coffee had this vision. And at the time I had nothing to do with dance music. And I was just like trusting him as a big bro. Actually, there's someone who's really been great to me as well, very supportive. Yeah. We went to the same music school, and so part of my community. So, so King Fella, landed there, and like now it's become a big song. And again, Omagugu keeps saying, he's got my verses, of course. So
I want to take advantage of the fact that we have a piano. Right. Can we play a little bit? Remember, all our plays will be very tiny, just so we get this feel.
Right.
Just for the record, Lobaba doesn't perform for free.
No, I don't. But when he calls, no, I didn't say that.
I must tell you, I consider myself lucky that you even agreed. You have almost like an emotional thing about your performances every time. I don't know if it's deliberate or you put it up or you act.
Yeah. Well, I guess again we're gonna have to go back to upbringing and the ways in the place of sound in a community.
Yeah.
My initial encounters, beyond of course being born and crying really loud, which is the initial encounter, expressing this wonder. All of a sudden you land in this place, experiencing light. So I guess there is a relationship between light and sound orientation. And funny enough, I'm thinking now that like kumsebenzi wethongo bathi umuntu omhlophe.
Really?
When you're graduating to become isangoma. And this idea of light really has to do with the song. Okay. And they would say mawuye kwisangoma ukhanyisele.
I've heard that.
Right, so khanyisa.
Yes.
And again, I mean, sound and light, they always go hand in hand. But the place really that's important for me is to think about the ways in which I come to sound by way of socialization, but also by way of lineage. Uguti ogogo nomkhulu no khokho were in this music. And thirdly, by way of initiation and being initiated into song. And so I think that already changes the way we could think about music in commercial ways, where it doesn't really have these sets of responsibilities, where it has to speak a kind of a spiritual language. And I think in kind of speaking that language of the ineffable, the things that we cannot see, and grappling with a world that we believe in so much, but that we don't see, then the music becomes that space. And for me, the respect for it and the emotions stem out of the fact that, wow, these sounds are the only ways or the codes that give us an opportunity to interact with the metaphysical. So for me, it's quite, I mean, it happens so quick, but it's quite a critical and a lot of scientific things that are going on, I guess.
Do you know, interesting, because that's I have a feeling every time I encounter your work that you've been on the search.
Right.
Your PhD has been a long search, almost like you've written lots of books before.
Right.
And those books are in the form of the music that you've created.
Thank you.
Almost every single
for acknowledging
one of them.
that.
Am I correct in even saying that?
Well, I'm just happy that someone sees it. Not so many people see, and I've been saying more and more, like using this keyword of study, that like, you know, to create music is part of study. And when I mention study, I'm not saying study by way of like confining something to a singular meaning or like confining to curriculum and the violence of study and the ways in which inside at least institutions it excludes particular knowledge systems. But I'm talking about study in a much more inclusive way. But also I'm talking about study as motion. So study not as like confining or arresting again information, but study as a way of providing motion. Zulu bathi ukuhamba ukubona.
Yes, of course.
But we know by walking. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. So there is a relationship between walking and knowledge, but also they will say hutsiba, knowing by sound, knowing by hearing. So all of these things for me kind of suggest that music in itself presents complex text and subtext. So before we even say what it's about, it's already presenting these meanings.
That's true.
And so when you say it's books, I love that because it suggests that there is still a way, an opportunity to read into the properties of the sounds, not just the lyrics and what the songs are saying by way of words, but to think about sounds aesthetically as a form of text, as something that gives meaning.
I would go crazy. I tell you, looking at your work, I'd say, and this guy was able to interpret this into a PhD? because even the stuff that you're saying now, the connection of cosmology and connecting it to sound, and because when you do a PhD, you're contributing to knowledge, and the contribution to knowledge to vocabulary as well.
But that was the key thing, was being in the university and seeing how the university kind of doesn't see the villages that surround it. I've been problematizing this idea of a uni as a singularity, which suggests that there is only one way of doing things. And some interventions by decolonial scholars, they've been talking about pluriversality.
What is that?
So pluriversality, just basically putting plural into ways of knowing. So that we don't live in a singular world. Someone in Congo is experiencing something different to someone in Russia. So we can't possibly be in a universal. We need to be in a pluriversal that allows for all of these worlds to kind of coexist. And so I think in grappling with all of these notions, then it would lead to the yearning for writing, particularly as a way to produce lexicon. So this otherness that's produced by hegemonies, Euro-American capitalist notions that often don't see us. So we become this other. So what are the languages of the other? And so for me, in encountering the violence of curriculum and not seeing myself in it, I was like, what is it that I can do for my grandkids to at least see their grandfather in curriculum? So it just started off like really as a personal thing, but that was also thinking about writing the future.
Do you know, it's and I can tell you are grappling.
Right, big time, all the way.
I could tell you were grappling. You probably changed the topic at some point.
A million times.
You see what I mean? I could tell you were grappling because it's such a complex concept to hold in one hand and say, here it is, and here's how I present it to you.
Precisely.
And looking at that, I say, how the hell did he even bring all so many elements together?
That's the thing. It's like the protocol of what counts as like academia or that register of writing is causing a lot of problems by way of regulating how ideas are presented. And the regulation in itself is a kind of violence. And so I was kind of thinking about that. What does it mean to actually be irregular, but to have such a sound theoretical framework that makes them unable to say it doesn't hold.
Yes.
But for them to accept that it holds in a different way. So that was the thing, really. And the grappling is part of what I call an ongoing rehearsal, which underpins my work and the book that I'm trying to write. So, the university has one prescribed idea of what knowledge is and what knowledge is.
And what academic writing is.
That academic writing and the confines of the register of academic writing. So, for me, it was to think about how far can I stretch what is quote unquote academic writing? How far can I stretch that into a realm of what I call poetics? And poetics, in a sense, is like trying to write kind of in between. But like I said, like if the theory holds, no one is able to argue that this is. But also, I think it presents what I call an ongoing rehearsal, again, by way of formulation. And this ongoing rehearsal also tries to say it does not have to be perfect. But perfection is possibly created by multiple moments of failure, of imperfection. That's the only way to achieve perfection.
And also, maybe even where we arrive and call it perfection, one can carry on another few more attempts.
Well, that's the thing
about. Do we really arrive at?
That's the thing, and also the obsession of academic writing with conclusions was another problem in my writing, because I was like, I am not so concerned with conclusion in as much as I'm concerned with new questions and much more deeper and much more critical questions. So that whole project, essentially, close to the introduction, produces problems. It produces inquiry. It creates appetite to think about Black study. And Black study often is really kind of confronted with this fatigue because of what we call citation practice. And citation practice meaning we have to always obey the one that wrote before in that subject. And often that would be a white author. So there are all of these politics that create a fatigue for a Black writer. And I was trying to really be aware of those problematics and kind of rise above.
You speak of, in the last part of your thesis, where you speak about the unethical nature of the ethics committee.
Right. Right. That was not even supposed to be in the document. I just put it there. And
did it obviously reflect that you passed?
Well, they published it. So the idea was that I didn't want my cultural concepts or cultural kind of dignity to collapse to concepts of consent by the university. Because what that would have meant was that in a regular ceremony, now all of a sudden my grandmother will have to sign a consent form to attend umgidi wakhe. And I was just refusing. I was like, there is no way I'm going to allow academia to produce such a violence. That's what I meant by the unethical nature of the ethics application and committee, which has created a lot of problems. But but it's okay. This is.
Can you imagine they get it and say, did you hear what he said?
And remember, saying it at Stellenbosch is different to saying it anywhere else.
To University of the North. Very different. Wow. I want to go back home, and I always go back home.
Right.
When you think of your mom,
right,
what sounds come to mind?
So many sounds. I always think about this idea of prayer and idea of lineage and heritage. Sithi wena weza ngephupho siyakhuleka, wena weza ngamanzi siyakhuleka, weza ngemlilo siyakhuleka. Lapho sebethi uyakhala uyalila uthi igula kanti abachithela chithwa ingqondo endala kamalandela siyakhuleka amakhosi amakhulu.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so these are like
It
some
captures.
of the, it captures the essence. My mom is really a great musician, and it's truly an honor to come from such a lineage. And she has an album out that came like 3 years ago. It's called Ngerinilanga. Her name is Noma Jerusalem. So, but also when I think about her, it's like sacrifice. That she was a musician before me, but she wanted to make sure that I go to school, study this thing, do all these various layers of study, release at least 8 albums before she would release one.
Imagine that. Imagine.
So, very,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Where's home?
Right.
Well, you spoke about coming into light.
Right.
When you open your eyes, and there was this world.
There was this world.
Where was that place?
This, in terms of the hospital, it was at Itindale Hospital in Pietermaritzburg.
Okay.
At the beginning of the 80s, I'm not going to say anymore. Ekhaya, ngokwe lineage, my father was Umpemba. They originate Lenge.
Okay.
They move all the way south, and I'm even told like even Central Africa.
What?
Yeah, and then from my mother's side, Osbia.
Okay.
Or Sotobe. They came from Mbubu. So my dad came from, his father came from Mkumbane, which is a very musical place, more like Sofata, all of these like townships. There's always a sound. Once you say that, once you say Gwalanga, there's a sound. Yeah. So once you say New Brighton, Mamelodi,
there's always a sound.
Mamelodi. Yes. I mean, Malopo and all of, when they were displaced, Malombo and what happened there in that space. Yeah. So, and then because of Udlame, the 80s, what was called then black on black violence, we moved to Emakongo, and so I had to start grade 1 twice in different places. It was horrible times. And then for the most part, we kind of grew up in Eskodini, in a small village called Ekalanyoni.
I know those.
Yes.
Those are familiar names.
Yes. So I come from there, and in and out of the rural, visiting my grandmother. Yeah. So, like black kids in those years, like you don't grow up in one place. Sometimes you're at your uncle's for a period and stuff. And I think this is what our kids are missing on. They grow very much domestic. And I think there are challenges.
In front of gadgets.
Yeah, there's a challenge there. We're very like kind of transient and in motion. And
what is the main positive factor of that moving around? What do you draw from it?
I think you have a much broader definition of community.
Yeah.
Our kids now, reference to community would perhaps be the school or the church, but not community in a sense like the neighbor. We stayed in East London, and I remember like we met our neighbor after 9 years when we were leaving, just saying, oh, you guys are moving out. So
yes, we are.
The house, we're selling the house. So that's it.
9 years.
9 years, but like that's like kind of. We've moved into Durban since November. We still don't know the neighbors. It's kind of, but those are some of the disadvantages.
And we didn't grow up that way.
We didn't grow up that way. It was a complete opposite. So, grow up in that space, and of course, the cultures and the vibrancy of culture. Yeah. When our kids speak about culture now, they speak about like just drip, like my kids, like that's a culture. They're talking about dressing up. So it's almost like for them, like the culture has to be kind of dressed up. When we talk about culture, we're almost talking about nakedness, explicitness, rawness. Yeah. So when we reference culture, we're talking about the technologies of the everyday, the conversation of the everyday, interacting with those Grootmans around the corner, even if you didn't want to. These guys, they come in a car, inside the gate, in Tini Grootman is Oktuma. I remember actually Eskodini, Uthunywe, and they will send you to buy something. But the shops were far.
Yes.
And you had to chant this thing all the way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what the Rodmans had sent me to buy, but you chant. And bekunensizwa phela phansi sokuluyisa endleleni fanele ulo nensizwa. By the time you get out of that, damn, bengithunyweni.
Of course. Wathathela imali. There's so many stories between that.
Yeah, and you get to the shop and he's just like, man, I'm going to basket. Yeah. And you just ask for something.
Yeah.
And ufike lapha ekhotmani angisho ibithimisela amathe phansi. There was that technology too. You mustn't take long. So mawuhamba uthimisela amathe phansi fanele angomi.
Yeah.
Uyayazi.
I remember. I know it well.
So when you come back amathe omile, you have the wrong item.
Mm-hmm.
And amakhotmane in those days, they were not going to listen to your story. So I mean, that's kind of like
that is the
mobilities of the everyday. Those are the technologies of the everyday. That is the knowingness of the everyday.
Incredible.
You know. So I think that is kind of a huge difference, and those are some of the signifiers. Culture as a practice, as opposed to culture as an add-on, something that we put on. I put this jacket to represent the culture.
Yes.
Our kids are talking more at the register of representing the culture. We're talking about living and practicing the culture.
When you think of where you grew up, and now we take advantage of the piano again, what sounds come to mind?
Whoa, so many things. There are conflicting things in a sense that you have that's like a mahubo.
Okay.
And then while you hear that, there's another sound. That's the church. That's the church now. This is the coming of the missionaries.
Yes.
Transposition of that to the township, where the people are starting to create their own styles out of this.
I hear that.
And while you're grappling with that, of course, there are traditional sounds that will be like. Kind of almost conflicting sounds, convergences, with the difficulty of time as well, because when coloniality comes, people have their own sounds. But I always think of the church as this gigantic thing that invades the culture. Because while umakoyane, the traditional instruments, or even thinking about malopo, you know, or malombo, you hear this very gentle sounds, and then you find the sound of an organ, like, and the pipe organ and the acoustics of the village. So we grow in all of these things, and you're picking up what you're picking up, and you choose what belongs to your library and you reject what doesn't.
Do you know something that it's a quote of yours, and I paraphrase, you say you battle with the concept of indigenous because so much influences have come by sheep to our shores, and when we sit today in 2024 and we say that's indigenous, are we really?
It's very problematic. You know, whenever I travel around the world and I try some food and it doesn't really go well, because that happens. The next day I'm searching for an Indian restaurant because I know I won't go wrong there.
It's familiar.
Like, yeah. And so when people ask, but you from Africa, I'm like, Indian food in KwaZulu-Natal, particularly Pietermaritzburg, Durban, counts as indigenous.
Yes.
But are the Indians indigenous to Africa? We don't know. But this is the challenge now of modernity and thinking about these different epochs and time periods and what they present with regards to our notion of time. So we currently have a very troubled notion of time and this frame and this chronology that overlaps, and some things are erased, some things are protesting the erasure, some things are modified, and so the idea of indigenousness is kind of problematic. But I'm honored to have like fellowship with people like Abombuso Khoza and other people who are friends. So we're grappling with this idea of indigenousness together, and sounds are really some of the things that are pointing us to indexing, at least, this might be an indigenous sound. Malombo,
you still use the word "my."
Yeah, Malombo might be as indigenous as we can go.
Yeah,
you know, and of course we understand the adaptations. Malombo, in two ways. One, in it as a healing practice of the Venda Wapedi people, and on the other register as an adaptation by Babu Philip Dabane in terms of keeping the indigenousness in ways in which we think about contemporary sounds.
But you also find a bit of blues in the sound.
And he refused when people said that about his music in the US when he taught. I think he was playing the Newport Jazz Festival. He said no, he wasn't playing blues, he was playing Malombo. I love that.
Because he's saying maybe you are playing Malombo when you think you're playing blues.
Right. But that's the thing. Often when we think about jazz, there is a serious omission of the Black Atlantic or the transatlantic. And I think that is the key problem. Yeah. Because if we forget that the people that set up this music were Africans who were brought through the ships into slavery, and they were banned from singing, banned from playing the drum, banned from speaking indigenous languages. And jazz came as this representation of this refusal that we want to stay connected to our home. So in many ways, jazz is an African music. I mean, we could go on and theorize that kind of situation, but I think it's worth suggesting that the overtones of African music are some of the key signifiers of jazz music.
Go back home again. Where do you think of your upbringing? When is music introduced to you?
I don't know.
You don't?
No, because I mean, on one of my albums, I had a song called Alfina, which was a tribute to my late grandmother. I mean, this is how my grandmother would sing, like when I was a kid. And so this little song was kind of a depiction of those moments of just hearing her singing. So there's always been song.
But there's no moment where it was a light bulb put in.
No, I didn't. I would like to, I always listen to cats and people doing interviews and talk about that moment, and it's beautiful, and I wish I had it, but no.
but I think yours is a better story to say it was always there.
It was always there.
The music was always there.
I mean, there was no accent. There was no one moment that was like, oh, now I want to.
Yes.
It's just the village also was super musical from, Iqatamia, people playing Indlamu, dance every weekend, and this lived culture again.
Yeah, interesting. I grew up in Mamelodi, and on Saturdays or Sunday early afternoons, there would be the Naga.
The Naga,
These guys dressed up in this. And that sound was always familiar around us when we were growing up as kids.
It sits as a soundtrack.
It is in the back of our minds. That's why when you hear it as an adult, you immediately gravitate towards it. It's pleasant to hear.
Right.
When you were writing your academic work, and remind us of the title.
Right.
Because it goes there, and it goes there, and it goes there, and it goes there, and it comes together.
I think this one was locating and do cosmology in improvised music, and the first title is Breaking into Sound.
I wanted to ask that.
Breaking into Sound. That's a very important one for me.
Let's break it down into pieces. What is breaking into sound?
Well, breaking into sound was kind of, I like how you moving from the question about when did I know about being a musician, and because breaking into sound is the moment of creation within the Zulu myth creation story. Bathi sadabuko hlangeni. And that moment of the break was this idea that we break into sound, which means we open our awareness to sound, but sound is always there. But that moment where we catch the sound, but the sound is always, we break into it. Sound, So the idea also of ukdabuka ngeZulu is the idea of origin. So abantu babethi wadabuka kuphi. You broke off a particular place. You broke from a particular tribe. And so I was thinking about how that kind of proximity between origin story and musicalities would assist the ways that we locate ourselves as practitioners. That origin stories have everything to do with sound making. And in order for us to formulate and theorize sounds, we have to be dealing with the body and its origin. And in this origin story as well comes uNomkhubulwane, which is like a major theme in my recent work. You know, uNomkhubulwane comes as Muchaji in various, depends what cultural, you know, Unomhoi, or maybe even Oshun in the Yoruba cultures. But she is understood to be a mother of fertility. And she regulates all creation. And so she's linked to the feminine energy, the body, the womb, and she speaks, her language is water. And if we think about water as a place of creation, and in this breaking into sound, or this ukdabuko hlangeni, uNomkhubulwane is the first time we are introduced to gender.
In the story of humans.
The creation story.
Yes.
So this says something about women, because Christianity will say otherwise. So Umveli Qala, who is the creator of all things, in this particular story is genderless and does not have a body. And so the first enunciation of a body was uNomkhubulwane, who is the daughter of Umveli Qala. And so I think
Christianity tells almost an opposing story.
A son.
Yes.
The Son, the Holy Spirit.
And a male creator.
A male creator with the one son. But here we are told about one daughter.
And a genderless
and a genderless God. This is and I thought, like, in bringing all of these things to like kind of public awareness, I'm not trying to produce answers, but I'm saying thematically every time I propose something, it at least makes people to think. And there was the whole idea of using that title. And then the second title, like dislocating. And I used
I saw that
deliberately because it's either we are locating cosmology within improvised music,
or
we are dislocating it by the mere fact of it being an explorative paradigm, in this sense that it's no longer strict as a cosmology, but it's relational. It's a relational praxis which now goes beyond the Zuluness, it goes beyond blackness, and it becomes a relational praxis. And so those are some of the problems that I created from the title already.
Created a lot of problems. I like your reference to Nomkhubulwane as a that exists in most cultures, not only in one.
No.
Yes.
Nomkhulwane is almost in every African culture.
Because when I was reading that, I thought, this is Mujaji in my world.
Right.
I'm quite
all
familiar.
the characteristics.
Yes.
The rain,
Absolutely.
all of that, regulating, fertility, the soil.
But here's something that stands out, and you speak of a lot, even on the album before your last, you speak of abundance as a concept.
That's important.
Yeah.
And now you're connecting me with this notion of what is this cosmology we're referring to?
Yeah.
And in this case, I'm referring to Ndu cosmology. And Ndu is really understood as vital force that lives in all things. So Ndu is really what produces abundance. And in this case, I would argue that Ndu inzalo kaNomkhubulwane.
Okay.
That produce Bantu, Kintu, Hantu, Muntu. So producing beings, it produced the concept of time, it produced the realm of aesthetic, it produced all living things.
Yes.
So Ndu actually inzalo kaNomkhubulwane, it takes us to abundance. And this notion of abundance, the reason why I'm playing with it is that there is a sense in which, in thinking about black subjects, lack is almost inevitable. It's like when you think about township constructs.
First thought.
Right. It was created just so that it can produce all kinds of lack. Lack of motivation, lack of energy, lack of music, lack of education, lack of health, lack of housing, lack of human rights, bad rights.
Lack of dreams.
Lack of dreams. and so anyone that makes it from the township, we're like, wow, how did you oppose this lack? The reason why we oppose this lack is because in our DNA we carry Ndu. And Ndu is abundance. And that's why we are able to transcend all of these things. So I was using this notion of abundance to remind us of the abundance that we are. I mean, if you think about raw minerals, I mean, come on, like we're the richest.
They're here.
Yeah, everything is here.
Under our feet.
Right. There will be no cell phones, there will be no electricity. We are so necessary for the planet to exist. It's basically that in thinking about lack, we see that lack is a construct. It's an illusion that's created to underpin black subjectivity. But the modality of transcendence is that of abundance.
It's incredible how, I guess the question I was asking in my head, how did we lose that notion? Not even a notion, because once it's a notion, it's an idea. However, abundance is not an idea, it's a reality. How did we lose the ability to see it, the inherent nature of
perceiving of abundance?
Absolutely, because I believe once you lose the belief of abundance,
it's gone.
Everything goes.
But this is why it was important for coloniality to start by targeting very specific energy centers. One of them was religiosity, which deals with belief systems. So you first have to target that. So when the missionaries came and the reports that were found later, they suggested that there were these people that looked almost like us, but they kind of lack rationality, which reminded us of our women talking. So you can see the toxic masculinity, its origin. Because we come from a different construct altogether. But not only that, what seems to have really puzzled us was that these people have a construct of God that is very complex. And they tap into their gods by playing the drums. And it seems that no matter what you do to them, if they're still connected to this God, they seem to transcend all things. And so let's invent an opposing religiosity, a system that will make them subscribe to, such that they lose this kind of relationship with this God concept.
The minute you take away belief,
but that's
you take away everything.
That's the thing. Now that our God concept is problematized and the struggling between the demonization of the ancestor and the God and the Trinity of Christianity, among other complex options for religiosity, now let's attack their education. it would seem that these people's educations are based on the very idea of movement. They come from hunter-gatherer ancestry. So it would seem that their knowledge is based on the practice of moving. Let us create knowledge systems that are stationary. Let's create a place, a singular place where you go, and let's make sure that when you absorb this knowledge, you are seated down so that you can really connect knowledge and laziness somehow, a very abstract concept.
Here's another one.
So knowledge is not a part of you.
Here's another one, and I'll let you continue. It's a quote I found. They said they brought in this concept of belief that requires us to close our eyes when we speak to our ancestors.
Right.
We're not ancestors in that concept, but
God,
you're
even
required to close your eyes and not see what's happening around you.
Right. So that came with religion as a way of stealing from our people. Of course, there's another one, the hijacking of concepts of time. Concepts of time has been a huge interest for scholarly discourse over many years. And I remember one of the seminal works is that of Mbiti, where he explicates notions of times based on Kiswahili concepts, and he uses this concept of two concepts. One is zamani, which speaks about past time, and the other one is sasa, which speaks about future time. And of course, I mean, within Nguni words, we can connect that linguistically with zamani, meaning these efforts to generate something. So about our ancestors, babezama. Sasa meaning kusasa,
tomorrow,
as in it's unfolding. Kusasa, it's unfolding. And so Babu Ibrahim says they took away time, meaning the missionaries, and gave us the clock. So the difference between the clock and time, on the one hand, the clock is kind of like confining you to a particular rhythm and a relationship with time that is based on panic, is based on work, is based, whereas time is in abundance. So once you take away abundance in the concept of time and put strictness that suffocates and makes us like rush everything and want to succeed in ways that are aggressive. That's another big part.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's the grappling that comes again. Here's another grappling that you probably dealt with. Growing up, there was a lot of Christianity around you.
Right.
How do you navigate all that and this world of maybe something doesn't add up with these other things that were brought by missionaries?
That doubt.
Yes. How did you deal with that? Not only in the writing that you've just done recently, but also as a human.
Yeah. I'll start with a joke. Every time I do something that my mom thinks is great, uthi, uyayibona imthandazo yami? And she's still very much like staunch, like Christian. She's like in there. So she argues that everything that happens for my family in Omagugu is because agalali and etandas.
Yeah.
So while I've checked out of Christianity, she claims that all the success is because of Christianity.
See, that's the grappling.
The grappling is there. But I think if we think about what has been termed as separatist churches, such as the Zionist Church, Shembe, which were dealing with hybridity. So I think we grow up kind of in these lines, the grappling again, this border where you like, uma uthes sabazalwane sindisiwe kodwa ade wegogo for winter holidays kwafika kwahlaqha imbuzi wabuya nesiphandla wasifihla so waphilwa phandla
kunempepho.
So I think like the grappling led to what I would then call my own kind of prophecies and my own kind of revelations. I was like, okay, this is what I want to be. I'm setting up a home now. So me and my wife have to kind of agree on what sort of system.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be stiff and concrete. Like now, currently my daughter is in one of the churches and she says she's a server. I've not been yet. I will go just to support.
That must be Catholic. or Anglican.
I think Catholic.
Yes,
I think so.
Yes.
So she goes there. I'm supporting her. Like and just for options, it could be that I might be proven wrong too.
Yeah. So
but also it could be that like, wow, now I know that this is not what I want for my life. So I hope she doesn't watch this podcast. I wanted to decide later.
Oh, she doesn't get to this point of it.
Yeah.
So you still live in a world that accepts the fluidity or the
hybridity.
Yeah, like this thing is not quite stiff. It's not, as you call it, it's not solid on the ground.
It's not solid on the ground because there are elements like, the Abrahamic traditions are very much African. Mm-hmm. Like if you read the First Testament, it's like, wow, this is who we are.
Do you want to make a reference without necessarily quoting?
Well, I would think, for instance, was it Abraham was asked to sacrifice? And he asked, the son asked, so Dad, I see that we are here, but where is the
lamb?
The lamb,
yes,
for umhlatshelo. And so those are some of the things like sacrifice, animal sacrifice, and all of those rituals are there. I mean, Moses goes up to the mountain, and they say kumulimba dada, but like approaching a space of meditation. I mean, we do that. There is this thing that you observe about like letting go of like difficult thoughts in a space of meditation. Yeah. There are so many examples. I mean, there are dreams as well, or Solomon and all of these people. Yes. That's very much African.
It's actually the dreams is what we do. It's the interpretation of dreams.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's solid in our culture.
Right.
You wake up in the morning to tell what dream you dreamed of, so somebody else can tell you what it possibly means.
Right. So we see that there is kind of this very strong African kind of take in the First Testament. And the problem comes with this moment of the ultimate, the Christ that dies for everything, and the Messiah concept, and all of those things. And we can see, while this figure might have been there in history, maybe even in Africa, but we can see the manipulation of the text to kind of invite in the First Testament that, oh wow, I belong here, and then all of a sudden you must leave behind everything you are. So and all of that. So and again, I'm not trying to like
you're grappling.
I'm grappling with these ideas as like I was brought up in biblical studies and all of that.
How much of it was in your life? Biblical studies?
Well, a lot, because it was compulsory for at least primary schooling.
Yeah.
Where I came from, yeah. And of course there was the church. My uncles were like pastors and bishops and stuff. So this is there in my family. And again, you arrive in Psalms and you see the poetics of David and you're like, man, this is Amahubo.
Yes.
This is us again. So you keep seeing these glimpses of ourselves and Revelation, and you're like, wow, this is like a complex dream, So I'm just trying to say, while these texts are already inherent, because I can't escape them because I studied them, there is a way still that they allow me to trouble them by way of juxtaposing African notions on them, and test them and test their validity by way of being part of a lineage, part of a history, a culture.
Musicians and artists generally have a way of bringing out what they grapple with,
right,
in song, in art,
right,
and in all sorts of stuff.
Right.
Have you created music that demonstrated a bit of I'm not sure where we are here.
Right. Well, maybe I have, now that I'm thinking about it, because most of my music, while I touch on human aspects, I'm really concerned with cosmic aspects.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm really concerned with like what Bob Sandra would have called like Afrofuturism, like the ways of escaping or transcending, not to escape. But also I'm interested in the fugitive nature of meaning and the fugitive nature of Black aesthetic in a sense that is constantly moving. And I find politics to be super limited for me to bring into my music.
Okay.
and
because it is
super unstable.
That
too.
is a it's a political
it's
discussion.
a political discussion, and so I try to really present something else, present a space for recharging for people. That after this, maybe you will kind of speak better politics when you hear my sound.
You'll see the world differently.
Yeah. Maybe your politics might be more informed. They might be more conscious of a broader world. Outside of Marxist notions and
we live in a very politicized way of seeing the world.
Right. It's a world of binaries as well, and it's always binary opposites. I wonder why humanity is so attracted to the concept of opposites.
Yes, it's black and white, or one or zero.
So mine is really of inclusivity, like how we bring everything together. And kind of think about the in-between, because no one is thinking about the in-between, and my sound really demonstrates the in-between.
When is a piano introduced to you? Do you remember, and who did that?
My mom.
Your mom.
She had this box thing that had a locker. It was a very strange looking, but she would play every Sunday. He had an amp, so baby faka ama-amps on Sundays baphumele wabili ngaphandle, but omunye udlala kuloya muzi nomunye udlala badlala boyi-2. And we'll be dancing in between.
What?
Baba Mchunu was a big influence, and Uma would go and take lessons sometimes with Baba Mchunu. And so I used to watch that, and I would just like stay behind there. So I'm attracted to shapes. I think I wasn't listening to the sound, but I picked up certain shapes when my mom was playing. And so this one Christmas, it was left open, and I just started playing.
Oh, they always closed it.
I don't know where Vala was like, you were schooling. So I found it open. I just started playing. And I think for me, it was quite symbolic when she actually officially with the family gave the keys. And then she was like, Undumi, so my younger brother, that's you will see later. But like, my siblings.
Why was that? Why was that a restriction?
Yeah, because in fact, I wasn't even myself supposed to be touching, but now how did I learn that without like proper instructions? So, made it an exception.
Yeah.
But those keys for me are very symbolic. Yeah. And just recently I met Ubabu Ibrahim. Was a long visit and so many episodes. But one of the things he did after me waiting at his doorstep for a long time, and he wasn't opening, and I was scared to ring the bell twice because this is a master's home.
Where is in Germany?
In Germany.
Yes.
And so eventually Babu Ibrahim comes to the other side and be like, can you catch? I'm like, where is that coming from? Then I go around. He's upstairs. Can you catch the keys? And while I was thinking about an answer, the keys fell. Luckily, I caught the keys. Yeah. And he was like, open the door and come up. And for me, like in that moment, I was thinking, wow, this is the second time I'm being given these keys.
Wow.
And so for me, those things carry so many symbols, dealing with keys and keys.
Keys and keys.
Yes.
Wow. And so you learned it by watching it.
The initial thing was like that, and of course my mom then shared her notes. And taught me a couple of things. And of course, when I finished my matric, those days you had to go straight and work. I worked for a bank for I think like two weeks, but it was frustrating at the time doing scoring, and I was meeting all of these old parents that were declined from the scores that I was doing. They were trying to take their kids to school. And I was this kid working in this bank who couldn't go to school because my mom didn't have money. And here I am declining piles and piles of applications for people.
So you were in that unfortunate role to read and say no.
So this one morning I said, I can't do this anymore. This is my life. I feel like every time I decline yet another application, I'm declining myself more and more and more.
Because
it's based on scoring. It's not actually my liking, but the scoring just doesn't add up.
What criteria was in place? Do you remember?
Well, many things like you have past credit,
yeah.
salary,
The regular,
just the
stuff
regular
that
stuff.
still apply even now.
Yes, it applies now. The scoring,
Yes.
your credit record, basically.
Pretty much.
And of course, by extension, it would reject a lot of the people. I remember lo mama lo that made me to say this was my last day. She was like, "Mntana mngenze njani because ingane yami kufanele esikoleni." And now she started speaking my story. I was like, now this is my mom, and I have to do something because my mom is saying the same thing at home. She keeps feeling like she's declined by society, declined by standards, expectation.
Yeah.
And so I have to do something. So I just stood up like that. They still remember my teachers because now I went back and worked for the university where I started. So my teachers still remember me as this guy that rocked up in a bank uniform for an audition.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then I came back, told my mom I was taking my bag. She's like, "But you have no money, no accommodation." And I just left. And I didn't have accommodation, I think, for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
My studies. And
how did you manage?
Yeah, there was like these practice rooms where people practice. So I would practice until the security guards would forget me and I would just sleep.
For so long.
Yeah, I did it. My body kind of got, and also for me, like these things don't come across as like I was poor and stuff. And I don't like feel any shame in it because I was so in love with the instrument. I felt like part of me playing it the way I played is because I slept under it for a period. But yeah, it's all of these sacrifices that we make along the way. And eventually my younger brother, Nduduzo, had to go to Mangosu to study civil engineering.
At least there was
By
a
that
little
time,
bit of cash.
now I was playing concerts. I was playing gigs. I remember sending my mom money for the first time. It's like, oh, Mtana, maybe he's taking drugs or whatever. How? I said, no, I played a concert. Like, no, you don't get paid. My mom is a musician who's played everywhere and has never gotten paid a cent. So the concept of payment for a gig, she doesn't relate to it.
Musicians don't get money in her world.
And so my younger brother comes, we start working, we take care of Unomti, Notando, me and Ubuntu, so and here we are. So I'm just really trying to say that, like, all the keys and everything and all the symbolisms and
incredible. I want to go to the images and the early songs that mom used to play. Do you remember those songs?
Mom played
Oh Nona Lubaba.
Maybe she'll say it's not precisely what I just did when she watches the podcast, but something like that, just arpeggiating stuff and like really with a solid groove, and she would play Amazing Grace and hymns and stuff like that. But now when I ask her to play, she's like, no, you got it.
So you don't get the privilege anymore of seeing her play.
So on her album, she's mainly singing, not playing.
What has led her to creating an album so late in her life?
The album is kind of intentionally titled Ngenyilanga, which means she always felt like someday I'll get in studio and do it. And so when me and Omagugu opened this record label called Gundu Entertainment, Omagugu was a big part of, like, Faisenzeluma into yakhe. I was like, but like traveling everywhere, busy schedule. And this one December kind of holidays, we did it. And Omagugu was doing backing vocals. We did the whole thing. Then we went to Durban in another friend's studio. Outside the studio, we took pictures of some shooter with a friend, Sufi Don, a great photographer. And there was the thing. And now she wants to do the second album.
So I got this, and I don't know how we're going to sign it. Right. It's part of the podcast. It's going to be in the middle.
Sign it to the podcast like this.
King David Studio.
Yeah, I must sign it.
And I'm looking, we have a red one. I wish we had there's a space there.
Right.
How about we are messing up on the artwork?
No, it's okay. It's okay. King David.
Yes. It's probably the only one signed.
This is amazing.
Wow, look at that. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for signing it. Just know I didn't get it free, eh?
No, they're eating you.
Thank you again.
No, thank you so much.
Your work, your music, every time we look at what you do, I have one question all the time. Where do you find the time?
Oh, the question of time is I've been asked this in various interviews, and I don't think I quite have an answer for it, but the closest that comes to mind is the space of family. There is a sense in which they expand my time by way of humility and kindness towards me and patience. And like filling up all of these gaps, because while you dealing with all of these tasks, someone has to look after the home, someone has to look after the kids, and
while you're here with us,
while I'm here with you. So,
jeez.
So I think I have a very supportive family, and truly thankful to my kids for the support, but mainly Omagugu is
it's incredible.
Cornerstone.
Yeah, because I looked at the past. Since COVID, the past few years.
Yeah, I've been on the road the whole time.
Dude, it doesn't even make sense.
This year, it was the first time I was home for a month since the lifting of lockdown. It was the first time I was at home for a month and not play concert.
And are you saying that month you didn't even have to go play like some local
I played. Yes. I played about 5 gigs. But it's the first time I was home in South Africa.
For a month?
For a month.
That's crazy, because I looked at you. It's schoolwork in the middle of all of that. Yeah, it's albums.
Yeah.
It's other people's albums.
Many. Just recently, so many that I've produced.
Take us through some of the lists. I know the Thandiswa one. We all know that.
The Thandiswa. I worked on the Black Coffee one that won a Grammy as well.
My God.
I worked on the Jimmy Lulu last one. I worked on the Linda Skakane. I worked on the Muso Koza last one.
Yes, that I'm aware of as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there are several other ones. I've just been really producing a lot of work. I think some years ago, someone counted over 200 albums produced. That was not like 3 years ago. That was a while ago.
Imagine now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They call you a prolific pianist. They call you there's words. Let me find what I can find. Let me tell you what they find. They say improviser, healer, educator, scholar, storyteller. Right. You name it.
Right.
When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see?
I think father would come quite at the forefront. Husband, someone's child would come, really a sibling to others, a member of society, cultural worker, and maybe all of those will come like after 20 other very important things that I think I am before becoming all
before
of those things.
A prolific South African pianist.
Because if you go home to my village, none of those will come up. When they are like like Sweetwater just recently, and there was this uncle that was just on my case, like sending me, and my wife was even laughing. Like, and a cousin of mine, like, and I was like, but this is the thing, because all of these things don't
matter.
They came much later in my life. I'm grateful for them because they point towards the work that I've done. But the greatest work was of creating this person.
Yeah.
And so the siblings contributed there. My mother, my wife, my kids. So that's really, that's the fundamental space for me.
I spoke to a former mayor of Medval once. And, you're a mayor, you have protection, you have all these things around you. And he says he went home once, to help mom with something. He's coming in with these guys, with this protection. And in the middle of all of that, when they were about to leave, the mom calls him and says, please wash the dishes before you go. And he had to stop
Right.
and acknowledge the moment for what it is.
Right. But
And
that's
wash
what it
the
is.
dishes.
No, you have to.
Yes.
You
And it
have
says how that drew him
It
down
grounds.
to where he's actually supposed to be.
Right.
So, and that's exactly what you're saying.
No, it
with
is.
all your accolades.
I mean, let alone the occasion of going to a ceremony. But when I come home sometimes with bags, Omakuku is showing me that plant something before I even get in. Like, I just came in from Europe and I was playing maybe for 20,000 people. I don't know how many CDs I signed and LPs, and all of these articles were following, reading on the flight, the greatest pianist, whatever. I get home, Omakuku is like, that plant, I think something fell there. I think you need to fix that. Before I put the bag down, I have to go there.
Wow.
So, and that's another power at home, because at home there is no artist.
No.
At our home there is no artist. You know, the kids don't even see, like, you could come like with even like a medal, like an award. They just put it there. It's like, okay, let's it's time for dinner.
Oh, bro, what is one of them
big
called?
bro, my daughter, big bro, are you okay? That's it.
Wow.
So I think that grounding is so important, and I'm liking how we've accented family structure in this interview, because I think that's one of being an artist, like performing for thousands of people. I mean, some of my friends perform for even bigger numbers of audiences, but coming home to this loneliness, and a home, like really in an African context, is the people. It's not a geographic location. It's not a house.
Yeah.
A home, abantu, and the warmth. And so there is a kind of falling every time. After every gig, you have these 20,000 people. You get home, there is no one.
Yeah.
So you're living two realities, and after some time, psychologically, that implicates.
Oh no.
And then when you even get a partner, you think this partner should be part of the fans, and confusing your family for fans.
So
Because you are so kind of like attracted to this thing of being seen, being celebrated, but so you can't be a sibling anymore.
Oh no, you're the louder sibling.
You see, like even your voice at home gets amplified because you have more money.
Hey.
So even at home, there aren't any of those things. In fact, if anything, my younger brother speaks more sense in terms of like his izinto zomndeni, that big decisions. My younger brother is like the voice, because also I'm a very emotional person.
Oh no.
Like, so when I'm supposed to give a speech, probably I'm just gonna break, and he just steps up and like stands straight and like, this is what we as a family.
I think every family needs one.
Every
the guy who
needs
holds,
one.
who's with a straight backbone.
Right.
And
he's the most hilarious person, but on the flip, he's able to compose himself to these occasions and speak sense. So in other words, I'm just trying to say, like, you know, I'm just a normal human being.
These accolades are just that.
Yeah, these are just things that I've done, but I don't think they should govern who I am. If I did them, I should be able to govern them.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't define me. I should be able to define them.
Jeez.
Right.
This is heard by many people, I hope. That it's not the accolades. It's not the celebration.
No, truly.
But it's when you open the door at home and kids run to you, and that's the story of life.
Man, that hug is everything.
Yeah.
That hug is everything as you open the door. And like, you know, I miss that because now the boys are in boarding school because they used to jump when I come home.
Yeah.
Now my daughter doesn't really jump. She's like, yo, big bro, you're back home. And just like, you know.
It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, but you know, like really, I think there is something to a kind of psychological problem that we need to kind of like work together with or think together about in relations to audiences and a family structure and moving between those two places and understanding the importance of each of these.
What is your family pecking order in terms of your siblings? How many kids does your parents have?
We are 4.
Yeah.
Mina.
Firstborn.
Yeah.
Hey.
Nduduzo. then Nduduzo, who technically took my name, my younger brother.
Yeah.
Technically, because Uma and my dad, they decided that my name was Nduduzo. But then Uma was in hospital and my dad was at work, and my work too by Ningan. So that's how I got the name. And my dad comes like, what happened to my son's name? And my mom is like, hey, back then it wasn't easy to change names and stuff like that. So my mom was like, save it for later. So my younger brother came after me and he took my name. So we always joke about that. And then there's Unomti, then Gubekon Utando. So it's the four of us.
And you say you're the only musician
I'm the only musician, but everyone is musical. And I think that is important.
Okay.
And I always say that if my younger brother took music further, because he used to just pick instruments and play naturally, he would have been a better musician. So I'm glad that he went with civil engineering.
Why are you glad?
Because now people know Nduduzo Makhathini. no one was going to know me.
Wow.
And my sisters are musical. My brother is in aerobics now, but he has a full-time job, but he just loves exercising and stuff.
Yeah. So the music is it's in the genetics.
The musicality is there.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he does his stuff, he plays my music and they do aerobics to it. So he has a company called Kwela Step, which is becoming really a thing now that people know. Amazing. And people follow him. So yeah.
You said when you were at school, when you were sleeping under the piano, do you remember some of the music that you used to play there?
So it was mainly the African-American jazz songbook, your Monk, your Charlie Parker's and stuff. And this was all new to me. And I was kind of like, I had like a Walkman. I don't know if they still make them, but I had a Walkman.
I live in that world, don't worry.
With the cassette.
With a cassette. Yeah.
And sometimes I will rewind the cassette, So I had my Walkman and I would sleep with my Walkman playing.
Wow.
Yeah, until my batteries run out. I have to go buy new batteries and stuff.
Take us to some of the songs that come to mind.
What was like standard, like Charlie Parker stuff?
Look at how it started. I like how you call it standard.
So it's all this like American music that has been standardized, which is a good concept because it means that this music is like kind of the backdrop or the framework. In order for you to call yourself a jazz musician in the US, you are checked against these standards. That's what it means.
So they tick this box.
Yeah. You can't call yourself a jazz musician without playing these songs, and it's lots of them.
Do we have a standard in South Africa of sorts?
Well, we have.
Ashoni Lang or something.
Yeah.
You played a South African classic.
Yeah, that's a classic. That's part of our standards. And there are some interventions now where people are organizing these into books. So in the US, we have what we call the real book. And we have the fake book.
Okay.
So basically the fake book is one that's an unofficial one, and it's my favorite one, where people transcribe all of these things, they notate, they put them out. So in South Africa, we have one book now of South African jazz standards.
Do you feel that we should do more?
Because the repertoire is not done yet. It's a lot of repertoire.
Yeah.
And the world is only becoming aware of South African jazz now.
What?
I mean,
now.
Only now they knew the exiles. So they knew Masegela, Makeba,
Mbulu, Kaifasi.
Yeah, all of those people, they knew. But they are becoming aware of like the essence and histories of this. So there are interventions, like for instance, Blue Note having an interest here, and now we see
Blue Note Africa.
Blue Note Africa. All of those things are like instruments that we're using to kind of conscientize the world about a unique sensibility of South African jazz.
What is it that sets us apart? What is it that makes us special as South Africa and the jazz that's found here?
Right. Well, I think it's the complexities of our political situation, because a lot of it enunciates on the other side of protest for the most part. If you think about, for instance, all of those songs, all of those songs where this was at one point in the 70s regarded as the unofficial South African anthem.
Whoa.
Meaning that in rallies...
what's his name? Abdullah Ibrahim.
Yeah, Ibrahim.
Yes, yeah.
This was like in all the rallies, protests, this song was there. Yeah. So a lot of these songs really document the peculiar ways of dealing with the South African politics. On the other hand, we have an entire songbook that deals with the spiritual aspects.
Gotcha.
Kind of like dealing with, and I want to try, and it's not necessarily concrete, but I want to suggest that the 60s in South Africa are dealing with protests in a way of being physical. Like when Wabu Louis Nkosi was writing in the 60s, he was talking about like, escaping a gunshot from the police only to be stabbed by another brother in the township. Yes. So like this, so protest was a thing of the body, and you had to fight with your body. And the 70s, like Steve Biko, like Black consciousness, where people are starting to think about intellectualism as a way of protesting. And the 80s, like abantu abanjengoba uBheki Mseleku or Babu Tabane really coming up, kind of saying Malombo is the way. Ubaba Mngqawane, for instance, in the 90s saying Ingoma is the way. Babu Mseleku saying spirituality is the way. Kind of, if you think about the US calendar and think about the kind of civil rights movements in the 60s, and people were doing conversion names to Islam and looking at different... Yes. Ibrahim actually was part of that movement. So there's a way in which we always, like 20 years behind the American calendar.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's
it's almost similar.
It's interesting similarities. Yeah. But I think when we think about like what then the songbook represents, it represents all of these modalities of protest. Protesting by way of conscientizing your mind, by way of being physically ready to fight, and by way of being spiritually ready to escape and transcend.
It's amazing. Because where are we now in 2024 when it comes to the type of sound that one would hear immediately that's created now today,
right,
and they would say that's a South African jazz song. It has the elements of it. Where are we now?
I think that's a difficult question, but I think where we are is everything that we are. In a sense of in a sense of consolidation. I think now there's an insurgence to consolidate, where people like Abo Thandinduli are coming through, like with these like ideas to consolidate sounds and thinking about indigenousness and thinking about folkness and modernity. Kube khona o Linda Skakani, kube khona Ombuso Khozo, Siyama Khuzeni, kube khona, of course, Omagugu should be the first one. Kind of like really cultivating ways of thinking about the Zulu language and how it works in the sound. Then there is Okabza, who is very important for our times.
Absolutely, yeah.
But more than anything, they're just popularizing my instruments. I'm so happy because now everyone knows what a piano is. So when I say I'm a pianist, people say, "Udlala piano?" Udlala piano? Yeah. In fact, there was this tweet that was really funny, and I kind of like it, where people, I think they said something to Kabs about me. I think it was a video of him playing. I think his team or he responded like, I don't know this guy, and I think I will chop him off. So I was like, and someone said, you guys must collaborate. Yeah. So I don't know if it was his team or people commenting, but I think that would be amazing for me and him.
So you acknowledge that there's something special about us even now, 2024.
Man, if I finish a jazz concert in London, the club starts playing
piano.
Clubs of the Small. And I'm like, that's my sound check. That's home. You know, and also like I was saying in the beginning, I'm really against the idea of exclusionary and compartments. I'm against these things and superiority, and this is more intelligent. This is
jazz is the
elite.
Yeah.
Elite. Jazz.
Where's your cigar?
Jazz suffers that thing because now the reason why we struggle sometimes with audiences is because we do not kind of value our audiences because we think they don't understand us because we are super advanced for them. So what all Kabs are showing us is that, bro, just show love to your audience and they will follow you. They will come with you and grow with you. So for me, I'm looking at all of these things. And of course, I must give the credit to Mapumulo, Black Coffee, for like introducing me to so many of these people.
Because he's the connection.
Yeah. And he's like a big bro to all of these guys. So he's always like, check out this dude. Like he will be like, check out Kevin. Check out this guy.
So he only sends you.
We have these DMs on Instagram, and sometimes I'm sending him jazz stuff. Check out this singer, and he loves it. So his whole concept, and I think he consolidates it beautifully on the album before the last one. He said, "Music is king."
He did.
And this idea of music is king is that music is actually the ultimate. The genders are not. Nothing else is. So if music is king, we just have to be disciples of the music. And to be a disciple of the music means you shouldn't be amazed to see me do something with another person.
I hung out with Java once and I asked him a simple question. Where does the music come from for him? He said he knows one thing, it's not from him physically.
Right. I agree.
It's somewhere else. So where does, for you, when you create, what do you see, what do you hear?
I think Java nailed it.
Yeah.
For me, I do not think I compose music. I've been more drawn to the idea of composing the self by way of being part of a family, by way of kind of being in a society that if we believe in a cosmology that says we live with our ancestors, so for instance, like when we greet, we normally greet in plural. With Sanbona, I acknowledge you and the ancestors that accompany you. I mean, isiSotho or even Swana would even go further and not say how are you and say where are you, Ligai. So this means where are you located in space. So they, in the greeting, they invoke the star systems. So if we live in such a reading, we are connected in the stars. So before you are connected with the cosmos, we can't have a conversation. According to this Botswana Basotho cosmology. So for me, this is really the key idea, that if we live in such a complex cosmology, it means music is a citation. It's a way of invoking the voices of those who live now in spirit. They need the sound to say something. So if it's a citation, I don't own it, but I use the ritual strategy to have a kind of readiness to hear And again, Hutsiba, hearing through sound and understanding through sound. So I'm interested in these cosmologies because they open and suggest that I'm not composing music. I must be a better human being in order to hear the music that is constantly happening.
That's it.
So I work on being a better citizen, a better friend,
Not necessarily this. This you're bringing through.
No, this is a medium. Truly,
Yes.
truly.
Do you know, interesting, you talk about the Tswanas and how they greet. I've always loved how AmaZulu bathi sawubona, we see you, or it's a reference of acknowledgement.
It's in plural. It says, I acknowledge you, Sanibona, and the ones that accompany you. I see you and your ancestors, basically.
And being seen is
being
key.
seen is key because that's part of the colonial agenda to make invisible, to make inaudible.
Ooh.
So in our greeting, we've been refusing. So our greeting is a protest already against coloniality that made us this periphery. The kind of dead world background and these politics of hegemony, like the center of everything.
Yeah.
Like if a war is happening in Germany, it's a world war. If it's in Congo, it's a war in Congo. And so you see that the universality does not represent us. We are not part of the universal, and taking us back to the idea of we urgently need to live in a pluriversality, a world that acknowledges and sees us.
How did we lose this? And I asked this, and I've asked it before.
Right.
How do we continue to be like that, to be invisible, so many years into post-colonial challenges of our world? South Africa is 30 years into it, and most of our neighbors, this is in the past. In Namibia and what was it called then, the Southwest Africa, whatever it was. Yes. All of that is the Germans left a long time ago. The British left Zimbabwe a long time ago, but we still.
I think it's a natural problem that comes. Post-coloniality is by extension a child of coloniality.
True.
So is modernity. Modernity is definitely a child of coloniality.
So by saying it that way, and using origin as a base, it's moving in some direction. Because origin by its nature starts, as you said.
Right. So the challenge with coloniality is it announces itself in the time frame before it arrives. We refer to indigenous moments before it arrived as pre-colonial.
Yeah, we do actually.
So
we even have a date.
The invocation of that as pre-colonial suggests to us that the governance of our time concepts is colonial, such that even before coloniality arrives, we were in pre-colonial, so that the calendar, the events are marked by this coloniality. And even when it's not there, you still invoke post-coloniality. So you want to have it in your language, but you want to think it's no longer there. And I think one of the explicit things that have happened now with the students, this decolonization of curriculum, roles must fall, fees must fall. All these fallism movements are really pointing us to the fact that the fall would have to entail a kind of rebirth, right? And because now we have these statues erect. I mean, the one at UCT was taken and was actually taken to a private museum.
Really?
Erect, yeah.
So it's back.
So for
It's somewhere.
for me, the fall would have been, we have this statue fall at the university, and people and it must stay there. People must damage it. But, someone even proposed, how about a symmetry for these things? Like zingwajwe. Kube nendawo sazi ukuthi le statue sasiyilapha sangwajwa la.
No longer here.
Because if it's erect somewhere,
it's still alive somewhere.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a metaphor for the things that are still erect in society. Like you would walk into a shop and you feel racism. So it still holds. So those are the problems. It's like, it's one thing to go past something, but it's another thing to have overtones of it more louder than the actual enunciation of being.
That's worse.
So that's what we're in.
Because if it was racism, it's silent, but it's way more potent.
It's way more potent.
Yeah, because you feel it and taste it, but it pretends not to exist.
Yeah, I remember when I was here in Joburg, and you'll be driving up Empire Road, like fetching my kids from school, and I would stop at the robots, and a white person next to me, normally Afrikaans people, would push the windows up.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, wow, I don't want to compare the cars, but I think this is problematic that you would think I will steal from you. Not to judge by your car, but I think it's kind of problematic.
Yeah.
And then what I started doing was, if I stop, I push the window up first, and people would go red. But this is just like the society we live in. I mean, in other places, like now I was in South America, people have gone way beyond those things, those racial kind of problems and borders, and people have transcended. Even some places in Europe, where you feel like we are together in this race question and we are trying to dissolve. Because race in the first place was a construct. It's an illusion.
True.
It was a way of grouping beings to feel inferior and, on the other hand, to feel superior. It was a way of creating imbalance. So we can unlearn this really quick if we work together.
Really quick, I wonder.
Well, I'm saying only if we work together.
True. If there's a concerted effort.
Yeah, because we're not working together. But I think if we can work together really quick.
For the first time, Nduduzo supports GNU. I lie. You didn't say that.
That's when I leave. That's when we end the interview.
No, I lie. Wow. Looking at your career and what you've achieved over the years, I sit and marvel at it and look at you and say, here's a guy who's done so much. And what do you still wish for when you look into the future of your life? Yeah, I'll tell you now, you have a lot of gigs coming. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have some exciting things. I have a duet with a great Indian American pianist called Vijay Iyer. Wow. It's beautiful. You never really see two of these on stage at the same time. And then
is it planned to be rehearsed, or there's improvisation?
Partly both.
Okay.
And then I have this big band that will be playing my music called the WDR Big Band. It's a very important big band in Europe, directed by Vince Mendoza, who's a film scorer. And so I'm excited for that. And I'm doing my debut at the Carnegie Hall.
I saw that.
That's a big deal.
Yes,
that's a big deal. I'm so nervous. Yeah.
So you get nervous still?
All the time.
I was nervous coming here. You still get nervous.
I do. Yeah. And I think it's because of the place from where I draw the music. That place must remain like a child. Yeah. So if the child is not in awake anymore, I don't think I'll be playing the same way. So I want to have this relationship with the child in me. And so, I don't really see myself in terms of like achievements.
True.
But I like to do things that are meaningful.
Yeah.
So I think I look forward to playing sounds that produce healing potency and more in a very kind of literal way. I think in 2017 I put out an album called Ikambi. The idea was to deal with sound concoctions in the way that we deal with herbal concoctions.
Okay.
That I would put together particular sounds that speak directly to particular sicknesses.
Okay.
Like so.
Example?
So I would be like, I think in that album I have something called something like that called Umlahlankosi. And this is the song that packages umuti for ukuyolandwa kwesithunzi. So if someone dies in an unnatural way, in a world where we can't have Umlahlankosi anymore, people could actually take this audio to utilize it, and this audio by extension will carry the potence of the spirit. Is sibuyiselwe ekhaya, so that we don't have the spirit lingering in that space, creating more accidents and stuff. And then I had impande, which was imithi ethile yokukhuluma with the womb for like complications. Yeah. So that particular song will respond. And it's just that, I didn't go further with the project because there were politics around the utilization of water at my concerts. Because when I started to say was the ones that come to my concerts can document the potency of these energies by bringing water bottles.
Whoa.
So it became like a cult and people criticized. And I said on my socials, if people want to bring water, don't take it out of your bag. So I don't know how many people are still bringing.
Leave it there. Because the effect is still the same.
The effect is still there because water listens. It's a scientifically proven thing. So that's like the next level idea for me, to have a healing center where
sound
therapy, where I could have various musicians that deal with, we I have bad dreams, we ongena lapho uhlale 2 weeks, and I do a prescription. You'll have to listen to this song for 20 minutes. So after eating, before eating, but kind of like bringing the sonic into conversations of healing in a more intentional way than rather an abstract idea that every musician that sits in an interview would be like, music heals. So I'm trying to be more kind of concrete about what does that mean, the language, the lexicon, where is the healing, the potencies of sound. So an overdose, be careful.
What?
Because that, that's where I'm really thinking.
Let's take that very concept and apply it to overthinking, over listening.
Yeah.
A song you like, whatever song that may be, you enjoy it so much, you listen to it all the time. What effect, positive or negative, can that song have on you, for example? Because if all music carries an energy,
it does.
The question is, am I even listening to the right music for what I'm going through at the moment?
My hope is that when people listen to one of my songs that they regard as a favorite song, to listen so much that when it plays, they stop hearing it and start hearing their own being.
Whoa.
For me, that's the highest level of listening to a song. When it gets so embedded that you stop hearing it and it reveals. Because my music is always oriented towards a prophetic nature. It reveals things. So when you hear my music, I want it to lead to the self, to your own self. And I mean, when I was younger, people would comment, oh man, your facility, you play this. And as I get older, I started getting disappointed because people would tell me about their grandmothers after a gig or something they saw. I was like, oh, you guys don't talk about my playing anymore. But now I appreciate that because what it means is that I play people into their own consciousness.
You switched me on.
Yeah, so I'm no longer caught up in the aesthetic realm of sound. I'm dealing with sound as a thing that leads to a much more critical thing about the well-being.
The effect of it.
The well-being. Being a better person.
What? I'm tempted and I don't know where to take this in terms of what song you can play that tells us something. What is the consciousness?
Well, there is a song about forgiveness and I'll just play it and see how you feel. So that song is about forgiveness, but self-forgiveness. And I think this is one of the biggest struggles. We struggle to forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
So those are types of examples. But forgiveness starts by making yourself vulnerable and seeing yourself. Yeah. So I think this is a kind of song that just reveals your inner worlds. And, you know.
What? It's a different world. I look forward to a time when we're coming for healing and all we do is sit and put on headphones.
But that's the future. That is really the future. I hope to start that center someday.
And I don't think we're going to stop you.
No, I hope not.
I don't think we're going to stop. You're the type who, you know, and I said this earlier, who does so much. You make all of us feel like we do very little and we are completely inadequate.
No.
Go to his website and check the gigs that are coming and the gigs that he's done. You'll be blown away. You feel like you're doing nothing with your life. I promise you.
Oh man,
how you do it? I
don't know. It's mystical.
It blows me away. When you think about your family now, your household, what melodies come to mind?
Many. I guess Omakuku is like one of my favorite composers. I mean, he's one of my favorite singers, but the composition as well is unbelievable. So she has this song. Yeah, so I just love how she uses space for music.
Because
She's a very peaceful person.
Yes,
and so this is like kind of any other time I sit on the piano, you would hear me play this at home.
Probably makes her happy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow.
I'm sure. This is it's called Nkosi Yami. It's a new composition, very touching piece.
What do you still wish for us as a nation?
Well, many things, man. I still wish freedom at the core is like, and of course equality, which is difficult to really regulate. But when I still see the kind of gaps we have in terms of like social, political things and economical things, like, you know, feeling like, wow, man, how come I have this much and this person is just struggling with this? I mean, let alone the really rich people. I'm just saying, like, you know. And just a basic thing.
Yes.
It's like how we've been throwing away food. You know what I mean? So what I really wish is like for the issue of basic things, bad rights, actually, just proper shelter, all the things that were promised in '94. Basically, I don't have deeper wishes.
They were promised long before that.
There we go.
With the Freedom Charter. These are long promises.
Yeah,
These are old promises.
At least from like a black point of view, and us being in power, to kind of like reassure people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I wish.
And if we had to be honest, we shouldn't struggle with wishes like that, because we still talk about Ubuntu, Tina, in South Africa as something that defines us. Do you still see it?
Well, it's there. I think it will always be there as a kind of like intrinsically human instinct. You know, like if you're in your senses.
Yes.
Right.
If all is well.
If all is well, but not all is well, that's the problem.
That's true.
So I think Ubuntu is that invitation that stays open. Yeah. It's not only a practice, but more an invitation. And if you accept the invitation, Ubuntu kicks in as a way of being in the world. But I think it's still there, you know, it's still there, and it's still making those invitations to the ones that don't really get it yet. And we hope that the music does something as well in response to these questions.
Yeah, because, you know, I like where you took that answer with if you're saying and all of everything, it's automatic.
Yeah, but
so that means there was a moment with all the hardship of apartheid that we were able to find it.
Yeah. In fact, we fought for it then.
Yeah.
Because also when the battle is really pronounced, it's easier to fight.
That's true.
The battles are very kind of subtle, and they packaged in other ways, such that it's difficult. What is it that we actually need to fight?
Do you know? Because we're not sure.
Because the freedom back then was the freedom of the body. The black subject was not wanted. And we knew that. So we were fighting that I need to be in the city.
Yes.
I need to be seen. I need to be in the university. Now you are in the university. You are frustrated by curriculum. Now the university doors are open and you don't have fees to go in there. So I think there is a sense in which the repackaging of oppression is still troubling us. It's difficult to pinpoint where the problems are. And I think, you know, to our politicians as well, I think that's the struggle. It's like, you know, although there are undertones that are, you know, there are things that could be actually changed immediately. But, you know, I don't really want to speak politics because it's not my place. But I do feel that, like, if media is still owned for the most part by the colonial hand, it would have a lot to do with how we frame all our politicians and how we understand them and their messages. And I think there are important messages that are unfortunate somehow with the packaging and of course some other loose character things that create a problem. But there are some important messages currently opposing even the current governance and trying to suggest otherwise and trying to also warn us of certain things. And it doesn't mean those people have to be in power, but I think it's worth listening to some of those takes against what the current system and its problematics. You know, so but like I'll do better speaking cosmology and
sound sonic
and family and community than politics. Yeah,
I want to take you to a political space, and we're wrapping up soon, about academia.
Right.
You having spent time not only as a student but also as a teacher.
Right.
Your observation of academia is quite interesting, where you talk about how it's old, it's historic, and yet to find modernity in it tends to be a struggle to bring something new, something that academia has never had before.
Right.
Tends to be a struggle for it to find a home.
Yep.
And is it something that you've experienced over time?
Every day. I mean, I've been with universities since 2005 and I've never stopped working. I've worked for VETS, UFH, UKZN. I studied at Stellenbosch. I've been in the university space. And this continues to be a problem. The problem of now we are here, the black body is allowed into the institution, but the protocols are still enunciating from the West. And so are we then satisfied with being included? Or we want to question, why were we excluded in the beginning? I think the former seems to be what people go for, just being satisfied by inclusion. Now the challenge with inclusion is the violence of inclusion, because it suggests that you were not there in the first place.
True.
What happens in that moment is that curriculum changes the contents, but not the engine or the framework in which it articulates itself.
Got you.
So the violence is no longer that you are omitted, but the violence is that you are included and you are constantly fighting the framework.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are much bigger than the frames, and so the violence is internal. You're hitting against the frame each time, and this constant explicating of I come from this and this and this, and educating the university is a kind of violence, because you're educating the university about your own existence, but we go to the university to be educated. So, but the reverse tends to happen with Black knowledge systems.
You lose that.
We end up teaching or feeding the system. And what the system does, it does not change the framework. It just creates a little corner for this new thing. Okay, you have to be quiet now. They create a little corner and you are there.
African studies.
And yeah, African studies, but also African studies as otherness. And for the most part, they will fall under ethnographic studies. And the idea of an ethno as a way of exoticizing the Black subject too. That is like an other, is ethnicity. And this overemphasis, I mean, it goes in music as far as ethnomusicology, that Black sonicities and sensibilities and sonics don't really fall within musicological branch, because they have all of these things, rituals attached to them, religiosities attached to them, culture attached to them. They must fall under a branch of ethnomusicology. So
not mainstream.
But then you are included, but then there's a trouble of the violence of inclusion. Because in the inclusion, you are still presented as the other. So those are serious politics and conflicts that keep me in the university. That if this is going on, I have to be in the university and so much against it. And so the indicator is when I get fired, then I go to the next one. So when I don't get fired, I often panic. So
something is wrong.
Something is wrong. I've succumbed. I'm not doing transformative work anymore.
Is there a lot of transformative work happening though, whether visible or just in the background?
I don't know. I think for my departments, at Forte, I was the head of department, so I could really monitor where transformation is happening, and I could impact on how I could direct. At UKZN, I'm a lecturer, and so I have my students to speak to.
At least you have that audience.
I have my students, and in many ways, these are the soldiers that are running with these ideas, and for me to help them theorize very robust work, very alternative work that should actually be at the center, and working on this project that we call the decentering of knowledge. The things that are on the periphery, we move them to the center and produce multiple centers, and move away from the idea of classic notions and move into classics, that we enunciate this knowledge as classic traditional folk knowledge, but it stems out of a different center. But this center has to dialogue with your center.
You realize I brought in that subject immediately after we spoke politics, because I worry that with political power, we still continue to lose things that we could be fixing very easily and very quickly. But when there's no one championing for that change, then it's lost. But it starts with somebody being aware that there's a change that's needed. Because, reading your work and listening to some of the stuff you've said in the past, I realized that we are not mainstream, and yet we are the majority. Our music is called other, and I'll tell you where it's called other. It belongs in world music when it wins an award. In these international awards, it belongs in world music. And you find a song that that what genre it is, where it comes from, but some people who will give it a big award in America, they'll call it world music, because world music is the rest of the world, not America.
But world music is also a place of homelessness and dislocation when we call like Western classical music, that's clear.
We know what
African American music. So once you detach geography to the music, you're creating an abstract universal. Because where is this world?
It's homeless.
It's homeless. So those are all the problems that come with the bigger problem of the global North and the global South. They come with the bigger problem of hegemony versus periphery. And so I think if we've not addressed that, this issue of the North as authority and the South as the one that follows from the peripheries, I think that's the key, that's the fundamental problem. And it affects our economy, it affects everything.
There's a statement that you made where a young man who's in America saying that he wants to come to South Africa, to help people.
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier on, the zone of lack.
Yes, and you questioned
who told you that we're lacking anything?
Yeah.
Like you coming, we have all the great masters of music here. We have an archive. We're going to introduce you to, this is abundance.
Yeah.
Do
you know you find the most gold? It's here.
You know what I mean? And you're telling us that you can't wait to help?
To help Africans.
I can't wait. And I'm like, where are you going in Africa exactly?
Where they need so much help.
Yeah, where? Yeah. No, we'll be in Africa. No, I know. But I'm telling you, I'm going to Europe, I'm going to Germany. Even more, I'm going to Berlin.
Yes,
so I want to, I'm going south of Berlin even. So I want you to tell me where you are going.
Yeah.
And so this abstract continent, this zone of no definition, this is the dislocation.
Yeah.
It's dislocation, this geography.
It's just the world, it's there.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. I think you're a fascinating South African. We're very lucky. Absolutely lucky to have you amongst us. For me, you're as special as the best of them.
Yeah. It means a lot.
Thank you very much.
To be invited here. I respect your work a lot. And,
thank you.
And I respect your thoughts and your ear deeply.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I want to conclude that you featured artists in your thesis. Malombo, Kasiam, we are Mamelodi.
Right.
Who are the others? So everybody knows.
So it's Malombo, then follows Mambu Simhlongo, then follows Babu Pegimselegu, then Babu Zimngawane, then myself. And all of these four, I stopped calling them case studies. I can't remember what I call, because the violence of a case study and stopping something to study, it requires a kind of death before study.
True.
I call them interlocutors, people that I'm working with, amadlozi. Yeah, so those are the people I've looked at in my work, and it's an honor that the families also were very kind.
Wow.
You know, when I spoke to Tabang, for instance. Yes. How Tabang, yes, of course we can, you know, it's beautiful. I mean, I even had to Azar, who's one of the disciples of Malombo, play with me, you know, so to get those kind of blessings. And similarly spoke to Mambu Simhlongo's manager, and they were very happy to support. The Mselegu family, I've been working with them for many years. I did my master's on Babu Mselegu.
Okay.
So you know, it's just really beautiful. The Ngawana family, I mean, I grew up with that family. So it's just been a true honor, and I hope that, like, you know, I keep searching and bringing all of these gems that these people were. I think of them as philosophers. Like in those chapters, I'm speaking about them as philosophers, and I'm quoting their words. You know, Tabane had this notion of mato, and mato really underpins what we call improvisation. It's playing music that reveals something else. So for me, I would rather say I'm playing mato than to say I'm playing jazz. Because when I say mato, then I have the elders that can guide me in this realm of mato in the practice. So those are some of the gems that came out of the work. Mambu Simhlongo speaks about sacredness. And we never associate like Zulu-ness with sacredness. We associate sacredness with Christianity. And so to find an expression of sacredness within my culture, You know, Babu Ngawane speaks about Ngoma, he speaks about rites of passage, and this idea of liminality. Baumsele speaks about reincarnation and all of these concepts. So there are all of these gems that are on that dissertation that are not really mine. I'm just sharing and saying, let's look at these things. They suggest otherwise.
That's true.
They go beyond entertainment. They suggest that music is philosophy. Music is study. Music is literature. Music is text. You know, so all of these things.
It's incredible. How are you able to bring your Zulu culture to jazz? Is there a song that brings that smack? You say, that's it. That's the two of them together. I think most of your work does.
I try. I mean, like I look at like Maskanda things, for instance.
The two worlds together.
Yeah, they come together.
Wow. With Cock.
Magwande.
You are incredible.
Thank you, Mhlonishwa.
So
Thank you so much. It's truly an honor, and to the team as well.
Jeez,
and
man.
your audience is Magwande.
King David Studio Podcast.